Hi, this is Stephanie Gilbert, and I'm going to go over some helpful hints for the term paper for Psychology 150. As many of you may know already, different instructors may have different opinions as far as what that term paper is going to look like that they expect for their class. What I'm going to go over and during this session is what I expect specifically for the 5 to 7 page term paper due in my class. So first of all, what I would like to make sure that you do is before you start researching your term paper topic, please send me a note with explaining what the topic is and give me a brief discussion about what you think it's going to be about in the paper. The reason for this is sometimes some topics may be too broad or too narrow, and I'd like to give you some insight as far as how to get that exactly so it'd be appropriate for 5 to 7 pages. So first do that. While I would like it to be something that is definitely something that is of interest for you, because why spend all that time and energy on something that's not of interest for you, make sure it's not too close to your area of expertise. And the only reason I'm saying that is that I can't have this paper be an opinion-based paper. It truly is a research-based paper, and you'll hear me say that throughout the rest of this recording. Just a side note that yes, it is 5 to 7 pages, that there can be there has to be a 1-page reference page, and we'll talk about that at the end. That can be included in the 7 pages, but there has to be 5 pages of actual written word. I do not require a title page. I do not require an abstract. In general, you would be able to, but I don't require that. And what that means is that, once again, 5 at least full pages of written paper. Now, I'm going to break this down in the same way that your rubric is set up if you pull up the rubric for the actual term paper. So the first part is the introduction. Please understand that that introduction should be there to capture the reader's attention. It should be a problem or a question that you're kind of posing to your audience. It should offer a thesis that solves that problem. It should explain what your plan is, your organizational plan for the entire paper. And then I really would like you to have something that's attention-getting. And what does that mean? You know, that could be a story, that could be interesting fact, something that is out in the news today, something that really gets the reader's attention that says, this is why this is pertinent. This is why you should spend the time sitting down and reading the paper that I'm going to write. So make sure that's in there. In no way should that introduction paragraph simply be a summary of exactly what you're going to go over in the paper. That's old school, it's tiring, it's redundant. You should give the reader, a clue as far as what to expect, but you don't need to list every single thing out. Now, the next part in the rubric you'll see is the content. The content of this paper, I cannot stress enough, has to be based on statistical research. If you don't know where to get that research from, please go talk to the folks in the SPCC library or any library. Grant would be a great resource for that. The reason I say that is a lot of times I'll get papers that are based on opinion, and that's not what this is about. There are other opportunities for that in other classes, but not here. So make sure you kind of play devil's advocate in your paper, give the other side of the story, the counter argument. Please make sure that you keep direct quotations down to a minimum. You've probably heard me talk about this before, but direct quotations for me should only be used sparingly, like one word or one phrase that you took from an author. Put it in quotations, cite your source. Otherwise, I don't want entire paragraphs from another author. This doesn't, it first of all makes it very choppy to read it if you have an entire paragraph. And second of all, it usually doesn't go along with the flow of the paper. It doesn't show me that you understand the topic. It shows me that the author did. So then what we're going to do is go on to the second part, which is clarity. This is basically how well is the paper written. I need you to make sure that you write the entire paper in third person. Here's what that means. Everything should be written in he, she, they. I don't want to see any capital letter I's. When you're done, go through the find option in your Word document and search for the capital letter I and see if you've done it at all. Obviously, if it's at the beginning of a word, that's fine, but not as a pronoun. No yous, Y-O-U, no we's. That's first and second person, none of that. Everything should be he and she. Don't use informal language, slang, or cliches. That's not the time, not in a research paper. You'll have other, maybe creative writing, you can do that, but not here. Proofread, have your friends proofread. If you just do it yourself, not going to be enough. If you only have yourself to do it, then please read it out loud. The Communication Center, SPCC, is a great avenue for that. You can go ahead and either submit your paper to them online and they're going to review it, or you can take it in person. I recommend highest taking it in person because they'll go over your paper with a fine-tooth comb, which is great. And what I would do is bring in the instructions for the paper that I have printed on Moodle. The flow of your paper is basically, as a reader, how easy is it for me to understand the organization of the paper? How well does it flow? You should use some kind of an outline. There's different types of outlines. It doesn't have to be the Roman numeral A, Roman numeral B, capital letter A, capital letter B, but there does need to be a flow. Make sure that each paragraph has a topic sentence and that topic sentence leads back to what your thesis is of the paper as a whole. A lot of times I'll get these papers and you start with one thing in the first paragraph and you end up kind of going on a tangent. Makes it very difficult for me to follow. Okay, the conclusion of the paper. This is important. What I want to know is in the conclusion, so what? So if you've made this argument and you've researched this information, so what as a reader do I need to do with that? What are future directions for this topic? Are there new, is there different areas of research that are going to be done going forward, different areas of solutions for the problem? So that's what I want to see in the conclusion. Make sure once again that it leads back to the topic sentence. Do not use your conclusion simply to summarize the entire paper. Once again, not necessary. It's kind of old school. So citations. This is a big one, guys. Make sure that you use APA format. I've given you documents all throughout Moodle that'll help you understand that. You should have a final reference page, which is a one page at the end. And what that does is goes over every single one of the references that you use during your research. Please note that the second and third lines of those APA citations need to be indented. That's something people often forget. Not the first line. Remember, this is APA. It might be different than what you used in English class. You also should use something called in-text citations. You'll see examples of those on the sites that I gave you. Basically, anytime you're going to use anyone's work, within the paragraph that you use it. It doesn't necessarily have to be at the end of the paragraph. It's usually literally right in the middle of the paragraph, right after you use their information. And I'm not even talking about direct quotations here, guys. I'm talking about anytime you use someone's information, you need to use an in-text citation. What that looks like are two parentheses, and then author, comma, date, and then period if it's the end of the sentence. So please make sure that you use in-text citations. I do expect to see on your last reference page, by the way, at least about 7 to 10 sources. 2 to 3 sources is not enough for a term paper, simply because you've only captured the work of 1 or 2 authors, which isn't enough research. Please use good academic journals. People at the library have provided a website to help you to do that. I don't need to see Wikipedia, Ask.com, blogs, random Google searches. If you've used them, you need to put them in, but that should be maybe 1 in your list. Timeliness. This is also part of the points. There is really no excuse for a late submission. You've known about it from the beginning of the semester. And so if you turn it in late, there will be penalty points, and I actually don't allow much later than about a day or 2, and then it closes completely and you can't turn it in. Please make sure, by the way, that you do submit your paper to Turnitin.com. Actually, not through the Turnitin.com website, but through the Moodle site that I provided for you, because that's going to make sure that it's not plagiarized. Let me go over a few more notes. Once again, I mentioned the Communication Center. Please use them as a resource. I referenced Turnitin when you submit to that, and please make sure that you do not have an originality report over 25%. That means that over 1/4 of your paper has been taken directly from another source. That's too much. I am very, very, very big pet peeve of mine is the plagiarizing. Do not cut and paste from any other source. If you're going to cut and paste, put parentheses around it and cite your source. If you're going to take it from another source, and even if it's not in their exact words, but you still have to use those in text citations. All right. So once again, I provided a lot of different resources, hopefully that you can use in your website, and in your term paper. And if you have any questions, send me a note. Don't hesitate to do that, because this is a large portion of your grade, and I want you to do well, and it shouldn't be a detriment that the actual writing of the paper is difficult. So good luck to you, and hope everything comes out okay.